everybody, and welcome back to the Thursday.
Find it.
No, it's
Find
there.
it.
The official Thursday version of the Nextlander podcast. It's there. It's somewhere. There's
the hottest and latest version you can possibly get.
You know, some might say that Thursday is a fine day to record a podcast.
Thursday is a fine day to record a podcast. We are here. Sorry, we're a little bit late on the actual posting of this one. We are recording that. We usually record these on a Wednesday, and then they go up on the Patreon, and then they go live Thursday morning. We had some scheduling stuff that we're a little out of our control, and we are trying to navigate. We are staying nimble, and we are staying flexible in a time of rigidity. Nextlander is flexible.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Adaptable,
bending like trees in the wind.
Let's see,
like bamboo swaying in the breeze with some wuxia fighters flying through it.
That's right. I feel like there's some wuxia flying through my head right now. Mm-hmm. But time is a construct, so it's whatever time is the appropriate time for the Nextlander podcast.
Yes, unfortunately, since we live in a causal universe and experience time linearly,
it's not our fault.
Here we are with a late podcast. Blame the cosmological constant.
I blame God.
I'll tell you what, though, some stuff worked out, and we're going to get to it a little bit later. We're going to talk about Resident Evil 4, Crime Boss. I got to get in some Lunark and Dredge because those released on Thursday morning, the day we're recording this. So I got to play some of those this morning, and they're awesome.
Oh, Lunark. That game, right.
I know, it's great.
That game.
Hellgineers, and we're going to touch on Tchia 2. Tchia as well. Tchia 2, not Tchia 2, the sequel. Tchia as well. Before we get into that, I'm also going to say yesterday we swapped some stuff around. We recorded some stuff for next week, the week we're taking off, which means in our heads, we record a lot of podcasts in this week. So we have talked a lot. I don't know if I have anything left to banter about.
Like at least two things that I talked about that on that Ramblecast, I also want to talk about on this podcast, and then you're going to hear them again for the first time in like 2 weeks.
I think we're breaking time.
Who said we messed it up? Who said time was linear, actually?
Yeah.
I think you'll hear me say on the Ramblecast that'll go up in 2 weeks that I'm excited to finish up Tchia, which I finished up last night.
Cool.
And then you'll just have to map it back.
Did you do it at 60 frames per second? I
don't know if there's an option to, or is it just...
You have to toggle it.
You do? Okay. I didn't see it. I looked in there. I didn't see it.
It's at the bottom of... Anyway, should we just talk about that game since we already brought it up? That game's cool.
Let's jump into it. Tchia.
I
don't have a lot to say about it other than... well, you go ahead.
There was kind of a big hubbub when that game shipped among the causality. What is the... Help me out here.
Sure, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what's the console equivalent of a glitterati or a literati. Help me out here.
Consolati's pretty good.
The consultariat.
Okay.
The consulate.
I like it. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
The consul Zeiss. The
Sure. The game geist. The Game Geist said
that's a ghost. That's a ghost of Gamers Past.
Yes, the Zeit game.
Okay, we're getting further away. Yes,
Zeitspiele. Okay, video games. Tchia. There were some people.
Vox Consuli.
Okay, here we go.
That's fucking terrible. I love it.
The Tchia looks great. It's like a really nice looking game.
Yes,
very pleasant, very tropical. Actually, that was something that I didn't think to mention last week. Something about having an open world that is a tropical island is extra great to me.
Okay.
That was actually something I low-key really liked about the Just Cause games. Was they were just so damn pretty and relaxing, all that like beautiful water and trees and hills and
until you zip tie people to rockets and just kind of let them go. But
that increases the beauty by Anyway, Tchia very chill and nice looking. Some people were not thrilled that game shipped without, it's like 30 FPS and kind of inconsistent at that, but they just out of nowhere on PS5, like within less than a week, have patched a flawless 60 frames per second mode in.
Okay, but it is a toggle opt-in to 60?
You have to go turn it on. But yeah, super smooth, and that game just looks extremely pleasant.
So is there some visual trade-off that is happening?
It's 1080p. They drop the resolution to 1080p, but nice to have the option for people who want it. But I don't have a ton more to say about it. I played a little more of it. I just like how breezy that game is, because like, you need to recharge your soul energy. You just find a food stand and eat. There's no economy. Like, you don't have to pay money for the food.
Or eat a coconut.
Right. Oh, really?
Oh yeah. You slam that coconut against the tree and then you just eat it.
I had wondered if that was the case. I just hadn't bothered because I was like, that would be too generous. Surely they're not, because coconuts are everywhere in that game. And I was like, surely they're not just going to let you recharge your energy off of any tree that's right next to you.
It's any fruit you can eat. I think some of them have other fruits, and also you could just eat at a fire if you are there.
Also at a fire. But yeah, it's so like chill. I guess
it's forgiving. It is a forgiving
it's just
game.
Super forgiving. There are very low barriers to doing whatever you want.
I will say it has some darker moments in it, which are kind of unexpected. There's definitely a turn at the end there that I was like, oh, okay, sure. All right. We're just going to go with this. And some of the encounters at the end feel a little tedious, where I was like, all right. I mean, you don't have to burn all of the cloth soldiers to accomplish stuff, but if you don't, that mechanic where you get wrapped up in cloth, it can be super annoying when you're just like, I just need to throw this thing at this thing. Stop wrapping me up in cloth. I also hit a bug where if I destroyed a soldier near the end of a zone, they would become invisible and just snipe me constantly. That being said, I really enjoyed it. It's got a good epilogue, I think. It's got a good put you back in the game mechanic. It's got good vibes. It's got good vibes, except for a little bit of the dark stuff. But even with the dark stuff, it's trying to keep those vibes pretty high.
I think everyone could use some good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. It's a little longer than I thought, but maybe that's because of what I felt was a little padding on some of the areas. But I think they're trying to give you the tools, the mobility tools, whatever you need to shorten or to make it less of an obstacle to get where you want to go. It was funny. I think it was last week, Alex, you mentioned like, well, at least you're not sailing for, this whole back half of the game, kind of Wind Waker style. I think immediately when I jumped in, I was up to a part where I just had to do this really long sailing trip. And
of course.
It made me think of you saying
famous last words, right?
Yeah. I was like, whoa, this is really going on for a long time, this sailing trip here. Tchia. That is out now. That's $30 on the PS4, PS5, and on the Oh, did it come to the PC? I think it's on the PC.
It's on Epic. Yes, Epic. That's right. Epic only. It's also on PlayStation Plus Extra. I want to say is the tier
extra,
which is the second one, right?
They still have those, right? Yeah, the tier stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
they're still doing that.
Okay,
I believe Extra
something
is
that could go away. I think and be like,
yeah. I wonder how that's doing.
I don't know. Good on Tchia. I hope to hear more from that studio. It seems like a small team, and in the credits, it seems like a smaller team. And I think they put out a solid product. So good on them. All right. Before we take a break, let's jump into Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
As well, small team. Just a bunch of scrappy people going out there.
Upstart franchise. That's, indie horror is very big these days.
You may have heard of the company, Capsule Command. They are
starting at 4 is weird for a new franchise, but
it's weird. It's not.
I mean, the first 3 didn't really hit. No one really knew they came out. Like
this is 4-player though, right?
Yeah.
You can do 4 people at the same time.
Oh, that's where it comes from. Okay.
No, this is Resident Evil 4 remake. Are they calling it remake? Or are they just calling it Resident Evil 4? Database nightmares are what these are.
For the first time in my life, I'm going to say that is an error on their part. Someone should have put the word remake in that shit.
It's 2 had the remake, right?
No,
it was just RE2.
They've all just been RE2, RE3.
Okay, so they've been making this mistake for a while. Okay.
I thought it was RE-make. Is that not in the branding? Okay.
Nope.
Bastards.
Resident Evil 4, a hell of a Resident Evil game when it came out. Resident Evil 4 kind of turned the franchise, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my sentence is going to be into more of an action game.
Landmark release. Like
landmark release.
One of the most important games of all time, or influential. Is what I mean. Like, I don't think, whether you consider this good or bad is a personal matter of opinion, but I don't think we have the entire 360 generation of third-person shooters the way we do.
definitely wouldn't be here without being there. Yeah, it's so with Resident Evil 4 Remake, I feel like they have tuned this baby up into its prime form. This is a lot of fun so far. Are you playing on PC or console?
No, I'm on PS5.
You are.
My PC is still not up to the task at the moment.
How is your... I was trying to figure out where I wanted this, and I did a little reading, and then some folks were saying that the aiming on the PS4 and on the consoles had a little bit of a problem with the dead zone, and so I decided maybe I'd just stick with the PC for the mouse aiming.
Yeah, are you playing with keyboard and mouse? Like I have not dialed in the controls on PS5 the way I want them.
Okay.
And it's not just an aiming thing. There's also something about the movement of Leon that feels like stiff and weird to me. Like,
is it like different than how you feel like it should be playing, or how you remember it?
Yeah, like I straight up fired up RE2 on the same console back to back just to be like, these remakes have not all been playing like this, have they? And like, sure enough, it's that kind of like that spin up movement.
Yes.
Sort of, this character needs to take a step or two of slow
lean
movement
forward. Yeah.
Before he gets going at full speed. And like turning, you don't turn on a dime either. Like there's just something, there's a stiffness to the movement that I have not come to terms with yet.
There is, it's maybe a little swimmier, less snappier than I agree with you. There is a quick turn, which I appreciate, in the game. I started on hardcore because the way they position hardcore is like, you've played through Resident Evil before. I'm like, I have played through Resident Evil before. And then as I was hitting the button to start it, it shows you kind of like what the enemies will be harder. Yeah, I got it. And then it says like things will cost more. And I was like, no, I don't. That is not what I want for my Resident Evil game. I just want to get the good weapons as quickly as possible and the better inventory space. I don't want to have to find more spinels or whatever. So I started on hardcore mode, and then I actually had to bail out of it to turn ray tracing on, because it doesn't let you do it from in game, and so it actually doesn't checkpoint you until after that first intro thing. So when I bailed out, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this on.
Ouch.
So I had the option to start over again. I couldn't continue. I was like, I'm going to put it on normal. I enjoy the Resident Evil games. I think they're fun, and when they're challenging and there's ammo scarcity and all that, I don't like having to not being able to buy the things I want, like the attachments for the guns and the inventory space.
Yeah, like money definitely seems limited enough. You're having to make choices here. You get to that first vendor, and he's like, hey, if you buy this rifle now, I'll throw in the scope for free, limited time only. But then I only had enough money to either buy the rifle or the first attaché case upgrade.
And you bought the attaché case.
I mean, I actually have not made the decision yet.
How much was the attaché case in your playthrough? Do you remember?
I think it's 10,000 for that.
That's
first
what it was
upgrade.
in mine. Okay, so you just find it. Are you doing hardcore mode?
No, I'm on normal.
Oh, normal. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, anyway, like the money is definitely limited enough to gate upgrades, but the ammo drops were a period of adjustment for me, having played those other two remakes of like, right. I mean, I knew academically that this was much more of an action game, but still having 5 to 8 bullets dropping off of enemies constantly was just this like, oh, right.
It's a little more Dead Space drops than Resident Evil drops.
Yeah, I don't need to like min-max my ammo usage and try to melee everybody. I can just shoot them.
So my memory of Resident Evil 4 is very clouded, especially with all the remake stuff that's happened, and also that game came out a very long time ago. Has the knife always been... Did it always break at some point?
No, that is new, unless I am really forgetting something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember
the whole stealth kill with a knife that has health and you pick up a bunch of knives constantly.
Yeah.
Thing is definitely new. The parry system is also new.
Is that new? Okay. There's like a quick dodge, right?
That feeds into the same knife thing of the parries also degrade your current knife.
Yes.
The same way the stealth kills do.
So there's a little icon that'll blink in the lower right, but the window so far seems pretty generous on the enemies I've come up against for the parry. And if you get it right, you get a counterattack with either a knife. I think you can also kick them, or is it only knife?
For the parries?
Yeah.
I think I thought actually I haven't had all my knives break yet, so I'm actually not sure. I would assume you need a knife to parry, but I don't know.
You need a knife to parry, but I think that follow-up you can just kick.
Yes, you can. Yeah. You can. Yeah, it puts them. I think it just puts them into that same stun state that a headshot does.
Do you find yourself getting headshots and then sprinting up to the pack?
Yes, that is 100% how I'm playing that game so far. Is get a headshot, and like I said, this is just a conservative use of ammo thing that I need to shake because there's just bullets all over.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 100%. Bunch of people coming at me. Headshot, run up, do melee. Try to create some space, get another headshot, run up, do melee again. Like, yeah.
I found that initial swarm with up until the chainsaw guy to be like, man, I suck at this game. Like I am just getting cornered and stuck
pretty tough. For
and
how many times I have played the beginning of Resident Evil 4, I actually died on that first village sequence, although stupid rookie mistake. I completely forgot the shotgun is hanging right there on the wall.
I also didn't find that until the end, also where you could barricade the door there to give yourself a second. Yes, I felt like kind of a doofus. Nice map stuff though, like I think this is coming in the remake stuff where it's putting icons on the map for gems and collectibles and all that stuff.
Yeah, it does annotate some icons for, I was surprised, like the medallion challenges, the like find the 5 blue medallions in this area, like those just get marked on the map.
Yeah.
They don't do I don't think they do the color coded like you found everything here, you haven't found everything.
For the rooms, like the houses.
Yeah, not like RE2.
They do blue doors and red. I think they do blue and locked doors, which is nice also. So far, quality of life stuff seems nice.
Yeah.
TBD on kind of my memory of Resident Evil 4 is awesome action game, quick time events, and inventory management. So it kind of remains to be seen on what they do with the quick time events and what they do with the inventory management stuff. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to keep going with it. It has not felt as essential to me so far as the RE2 remake did, which just like blew my mind when I played it.
Well, I mean, part of that I think is just boils down to the fact that like RE4 was still real good.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You and Vinny, you and I watched Abby play through it like just a few years ago, and like that, obviously there were a few things that have aged about it, but by and large, that game is just such a banger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like the revamp they are doing for this feels as much like, a total overhaul the way that like an RE2 or even an RE3 remake felt.
Yeah,
Definitely.
those other two remakes felt almost more like re-envisionings, It's like, hey, let's like tear this thing down and rebuild it as a modern game. And this is much more like, hey, that last game is still totally playable. This is just a better looking version with new mechanics, and it sounds like some story stuff has changed. Like I do want to see what they've done. Even that intro, like they definitely
I was going to say, is that all
more
new?
Intro? Yeah, absolutely.
With the 2 cops and everything?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's like a good 10 minutes of intro there that's not in the original game.
Okay. My memory's so muddled I couldn't remember it seemed new. But then I thought, do you find the badge in the house in the beginning? I
don't remember if there's a badge or not. It's the same story. Like the first game just starts with you rolling up to that cabin.
Okay.
And the cops just kind of take off. I don't even remember if the cops are depicted or not. They're not like characters that are
I didn't
really
remember them.
Yeah, there's more there. They didn't really change the story, but they fleshed that sequence out.
I'm curious to see what the little Baron looks like,
Yes. Yes.
See what's going on there.
The little lord.
Little lord. I think is it the Ganados? Is that the
Ganados or the Plagas or the parasites? Yeah.
I think they seem creepy. Like they do this weird neck thing that is super creepy. Like their neck just kind of clicks all the way sideways after you've got when they get back up from being dead. Quote unquote. It's effective and. It's actiony, man.
It seems well made.
Tripwires, the fucking bear traps.
Yeah, the thrown dynamite all the time. Just the whole thing. I'm not sure how sold I am on the whole knife stealth parry stuff, but we'll see how that. On the other hand, there are so many weapons in this game.
Probably I know,
not a big deal.
As soon as I got to 2 things with the vendor. One, when I got to the vendor, I was like, man, there is a lot of stuff to buy in this game. I better just get this attaché case. Second thing was, I probably spent about 3 minutes trying to go in and out of dialogue to see, like, he's got to say it.
Dude, what
he's
the fuck?
He's got to say it.
How, like, what? It's got to, maybe they reserve it for a bigger reveal later?
New Game Plus, you gotta unlock it somewhere.
That's senseless.
Is there just
whatever way?
Is there just like a Bart Simpson, like, save the line merchants kind of moment in this game?
They do not, I have not heard him say, what are you buying? nor have I heard him say, "What are you selling?"
Nope.
And I went in and out of those menus. Yeah, I went in and out of those menus a lot.
He's a very chatty merchant.
Yeah.
It's just that none of that dialogue is what you want to hear.
They must know, right? Like,
oh yeah,
they know. They must. They probably.
I mean, is it possible that just somewhere deep down they were like embarrassed by that aspect and like did not enjoy the fact that people were so into it? I don't know, man.
That merchant is like, I don't do that anymore. That's not my line anymore. I'm a bigger character than that. Look,
yeah,
I'm more three-dimensional.
I don't want to sound too negative on this. I'm still playing it. You know,
yeah,
that's an endorsement. I'm still playing it. What I mean is, I definitely want to keep going with it, but it's just like, I don't know, a couple moments that I have kind of missed the original a little bit, but maybe that's just because I played it so much and kind of revere it a lot versus again those other remakes where it's 2 more than 3 because 3 is a little uneven, but 2 is just like such a revelation of like, oh my god, this feels like a brand new modern game that's kind of incredible. And
for sure,
this is much more like iterative on top of what was already a good game, and in a couple spots I'm just like, oh, I missed the version of that scene from the
It seems like a good, to me, seems like just a fun way to get in there. It seems like it's doing gangbusters as well. So
yes, selling very well, unsurprisingly. I think we're just in it, man. I think we're just in like remake culture now. I think this was the one for whatever reason, even though there's been plenty of remakes. And
there was that Resident Evil 4 PC upgrade thing, right? Like PC, wasn't there high res Resident Evil 4?
I'm not sure. 4's life on PC has been weird.
Okay.
Like the original port of 4 to PC was like terrible, if I remember. Right. There's been like a lot of fan work on
maybe that's
the PC.
What I'm thinking of. Okay. This looks nice on the PC.
But, yeah.
That engine is great. I still love everything about the way they handle their visual options menus and all turning everything on. Seems nice.
Yeah, I for whatever reason, this is the game that made me go like, we're gonna get a lot more remakes, aren't we? Like
they're going to run out of Resident Evils to remake soon.
Well, I don't just mean from this franchise. I mean, like, the 7 remake did so well that everybody is going to want to get in on this now, right? Because, like, who wouldn't want to sell 12 million copies of a game that you already have a template in front of you for, you know?
We got Dead Space. Like, I'm sure that did okay.
Dead Space, 3 RE remakes now.
Yeah.
Like, the second FF7 remake is on the way.
Yeah.
Like, you name it. Like, what's
God of War has only gotten remasters so far, right?
Yes.
And would you say that's the same with Last of Us? Is that in remaster or is that in?
Yeah, that Last of Us Part 1 is kind of 1 foot in each.
Okay.
Sort of. Like it's a very significant visual upgrade and they did a lot of AI work and all kinds of stuff to it. But it maybe feels a little closer to, I don't know, whatever. It's a sliding or it's kind of it's a continuum, right? There's
not a binary.
There's no very clear line of demarcation between remake and remaster.
My remake remaster line is, did you change the story? That's I think that's where I go. Not the visuals, it's on the narrative. Did you go in and are you trying to tweak it a bit because you want to make more remakes as well?
Yeah.
Resident RE4, that is out there now, $60.
I just feel like buckle up for
the remakes.
A lot of 15 to 20-year-old games.
Hell yeah, Dark Sector, look out for it.
Oh,
everyone's excited for Resident Evil 5 remake.
It's got to get those eggs.
Okay, now that is fuck that. If they start remaking 360 games already, then I mean, well, they did with Dead Space, but
yep. Now we're there, man. I'm telling you, we're already
there. Good games, still good, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I want. What's the one with the jetpack from Capcom? The one.
Dark Void.
Dark Void. I think that game was cool, hindered by the technology. It's time to go back. Let's get into it.
I don't know.
Come on, Dark Void somewhere. Somebody's got a master of Dark Void sitting under a pile of paper.
I don't think Airtight Games still exists. They definitely don't.
All right, well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That is Resident Evil 4. Like I said, available kind of across everything there. PS5, PlayStation family, and the Xbox family, and the PC. That's where I'm playing. $60. $60. Is it 70 on the consoles? I saw 60 on the PC. I didn't actually look up on the consoles now that we're in $70 console land.
Let me confirm.
Okay. I want to
60
on the consoles? Okay.
Unless this PlayStation Store is showing me the PS4 version. Let's find the Xbox.
Very possible.
Safe.
Very possible.
You never know.
You never know these days.
No, it is $60.
Okay. $60, Resident Evil 4, and before that we were talking a little about Tchia. I think that's $30 where you can catch it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about crime boss Rockay City.
Oh,
City. Stick around. We'll be right back. This week's show is brought to you by Miracle Made. Alex Navarro.
Yes, Vinny?
You and I like sleeping.
God, do I ever.
It's like really one of my favorite things.
It really is.
So when we got approached by Miracle Made Sheets to try out some sheets, I was like, listen, I could try some sheets out. I sleep.
I have a bed. I have to put sheets on that bed. I would like to try out your sheets.
Did you know, according to Miracle Made here, that your temperature at night could have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? And I'm going to say, I did, Miracle Made. I knew that.
I need a freezing room in order to sleep comfortably. Hot sheets kill me.
It says here, it's inspired by silver-infused fabrics made by NASA. Miracle Made makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. I've been using the Miracle Made sheets. I've been sleeping okay.
I've been sleeping great. The temperature regulation, I'm going to tell you right now, that stuff works. I am sleeping comfy.
But these sheets are also infused with natural silver that prevent 99.9% of bacterial growth, which are going to leave them cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. And the reason I said that is because I want my sheets to be cleaner and fresher.
Heck yeah, you do.
Along with that, Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable and without the high price tag of other luxury brands. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Nextlander and use the code Nextlander to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Nextlander and go treat yourself. Thanks, Miracle Made. And we are back. And let's talk about a game called Crime Boss Rockay City. Rockay? Am I stressing it enough? Rockay?
Sure.
Rockay City.
I think they say Rockay City. Or if we're doing it in the Michael Madsen parlance, Rockay City.
It's more unintelligible than that.
Okay, all right, I understand. Hey, touchdown. Hey, how's it going? Rockay City.
I don't think I realized. All right, this game
sounds
is
primordial.
This game is $40. It's available on the. At least it was $40 on the PC. It's available on the PlayStation, the Xbox, PC. Okay. Let's start with the history of this, because this thing popped up around the VGAs. That is where we became aware of its existence. And I was not ready for that game to come out 4 months later. That seemed like a thing that was going to get delayed a bunch because the whole thing felt like, I don't know, it felt like one of those old Midway games that took 3 years longer than you thought it would, and then it came out and it was garbage, but at least it was funny garbage.
Like Crime Boss was going to be the This Is Vegas of the modern era.
Totally.
Well, except that game never came out, but yes.
No. I mean, this has a little bit of that Narc 2005 vibe to it.
Sure.
But not in the shape of a third-person action game, but instead in the shape of a Payday.
And it had a big flashy trailer with Michael Madsen, Kim Basinger, Vanilla Ice.
Definitely the 90s ass cast of this thing was the thing that really got the attention.
It is simultaneously one of the most impressive and one of the worst casts I have ever seen in my life, because it's Danny Trejo. Oh, I love him. Michael Rooker. Oh, that's awesome. Michael Madsen. Well, he's done better work than this. Kim Basinger. I love Kim Basinger. What the fuck is Vanilla Ice doing? We're doing Chuck Norris jokes in 2023? What is happening?
With Chuck Norris?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
It's very much Chuck Norris jokes.
I just had to turn down my gain because I'm going to be yelling about this so much. What is happening?
What is happening is that I have not played a lot of Payday or Payday 2. I understand those games are extremely popular. Alex, you played some.
I played a little bit, at least, of Payday 2.
This seems like a get your squad together, go do a heist, and get out with the gold or the money. There's a campaign, which I didn't know about, in the game where... Okay, the game kind of starts off and you're just on a roof in a firefight, and then...
it's like a heist gone wrong and you're trying to escape with some random guys that are on your team, but you're playing as the Michael Madsen character. Travis Baker, not Travis Barker. Like I kept reading it over and over again. No, it's Travis Baker.
And I think you're supposed to lose there because I died and I lost, and then
I died and I lost,
and you couldn't do it again. And then you kind of continue on. I even reset the campaign to see, like, okay, am I skipping this now? But you kind of fast forward into Michael Madsen putting a team together for a job because the kingpin of the territories has been assassinated or killed.
Yeah,
right?
Which sets off a turf war with some other vague gangs that all appear to be run by geriatric men.
So Kim Basinger is like your, I don't know, would you say fixer or like kind of like pulling
second or third in command, like just, kind of the person who handles all the gritty details of your crime operation.
You got Michael Rooker that I was introduced to as Touchdown, who is just kind of a merc basically, who's like muscle. Yeah, hired onto your team.
He's like the most Expendables ass character that gets thrown into this thing.
And so I played through, and Chuck Norris is the sheriff who's kind of out to get you, kind of in a cowboy hat and doing roundhouse kicks.
And every time they're literally doing Chuck Norris jokes with Chuck Norris. Like, it is fucking nuts.
Just unnecessary.
And when you die, you get a cutscene from Chuck Norris basically being like, what did we do wrong here? Roundhouse kick.
Whoa. So you're burying the lead here. Danny Glover is in this?
I did not get up to Danny Glover.
Yeah,
so
I haven't encountered him yet.
Yeah. I did encounter Vanilla Ice in a cutscene. And so you'd think, Michael Madsen, every time he has lines, I want to be like, you just got to rest your voice, man. Michael, like you just got to.
This is just what he sounds like now, I think is the problem.
It's a little tough to hear because it sounds a little painful, and it doesn't help. I think you said this too, Alex. Everybody sounds like they just recorded their lines in a lunch break on their own in a room, like
no, it's worse than that. Like, yes, it does feel like everyone is talking out of time for one another, but it also feels like they are all reading from different scripts. And they don't know it.
Our friend Will floated the idea that, like, what if they just went to Cameo and recorded the lines that way without the people knowing?
So the reason I don't think that's the case is they did bring at least a couple of those actors out on the VGA's stage.
Yeah, I know that's just...
But it's got that vibe.
But it
really
has that
gets
vibe.
The point across of how apparently disjointed this thing sounds.
Well, and so it gets more disjointed than that because the campaign itself is also a disjointed mess, and that extends, from what I can tell from the multiplayer...
sorry.
No, go ahead.
The last thing I thought I was going to hear about this game once it came out was that it was a roguelike.
Exactly. So, on the single-player side of things, when you start a campaign, what they tell you is that anytime Travis Baker dies, the campaign resets. Mm-hmm. And he's not in every mission, from what I can tell, but there are big missions where he is required to go, and you can bring, like, an AI teammate or two or whatever along with you. And so if he dies during that, the whole thing resets. But it's not the whole thing, because I've never gotten back to that first scene that I died in. It starts you from the first conversation you have with Kim Basinger, and I was super confused the first time because I accidentally buttoned through the first cutscene the first time I went through the campaign, so I had no idea what was happening, and I could never quite get back to understanding like what the connective tissue was. And then what I eventually realized is that there really isn't any, because none of the scenes feel like they connect to one another. Stuff just happens. Like at one point, you're like when the Vanilla Ice character was first established, they cut to him rapping with one of his like subordinates and just talking about like, we're going to take all the candy in this city and, and whatever. And then I lost it the first time. And then they immediately cut to another scene where Vanilla Ice is just DJing for like a minute and a half. And then his dude walks in and is like, we got the candy. He's like, right on. And then cut and scene. It's just like, and then it resets back. Like, then the time I beat him, the scene was absolutely no more coherent than the one where he lost. Like, it's just... none of the scenes, none of the pieces feel like they actually fit together into a campaign. It's a bunch of loosely connected scenarios that sort of make a campaign with dialogue where no one is actually talking to one another.
Yes. It has got that like Marky Mark make my video style level of like, oh, are you just inserting random things in random places? And I just to add to that candy thing, at some point, as I was going through, it's like, dude, Michael Madsen's like, hey, mission, and I was like, yeah, okay, and then it's just like, protect my candy, and you're just behind a truck with like a bunch of people swarming you. As I think the candy's cocaine, right? Yeah,
or ecstasy or something. I don't know.
But these people are just swarming you as you're kind of holding off at the truck, and then you shoot enough of them, and it ends.
Maybe it's fentanyl. Is there a police union involved? I don't know.
There might be, yeah.
It's incoherent. I cannot tell you exactly what they are even trying to dial into.
So what happens in the missions where the Michael Madsen character is not there? Like, do those not end your campaign run?
So, like, when that first mission happened where you were being surrounded by a bunch of gang members who are trying to steal your shit on the freeway, which appears to be taking place on some kind of post-apocalyptic freeway, I died. And so the mission did not end then, though. Like, I died, and the person I was playing that was just like some low-level thug. And then that cut to, okay, as Michael Madsen, you have to go and get the drugs back.
Interesting. So wait, so you were online with someone?
No, it was AI.
Oh, that was AI, an AI.
Yeah. And you could switch. You could switch to that. Like, there's two characters, and you could switch if you one goes down. But
it's confusing.
Yeah,
and it doesn't get much less confusing when you move over to the multiplayer. So this is a technically separate campaign, though at least in the I don't know how the quick play is, but when you are playing the co-op campaign with a friend, it is a similar structure of, if you bomb out on a mission, you have to start the whole thing over again.
The series of missions,
yeah. And so there's a little bit of a preamble with like touchdown kind of and one of the other characters kind of telling you what's going on.
Asara? Is that the...
Asara, yeah. Like the one guy who appears to be under 65 years old in this cast. And the setup there is just barely there. Like, it really is just like, all right, go do crimes. And then you go do crimes, but like the missions are payday structured. Like, it's like break into this place, steal drugs and loot, drill a thing into a safe and steal stuff from the safe, move on to the next thing. Out.
Yeah.
But then this next mission after that was literally them dropping you into the middle of a police firefight. And both times Vinny and I ended up doing that, we felt like we were completely outgunned because
it felt like
was
the game was bugged. Because the game starts with like, watch out, they're going to be on high alert or something like that. Meanwhile, there's just shotguns and cop cars just all over it. But so we got bounced back to the beginning, had to do that original mission again, and then immediately got back there and they're like, watch out, they might be on high alert or whatever it is, and just swarmed to the point where Alex went to, we were playing the two of us, it's 4 players maximum. It could be this game is not tuned for 2 players, you know.
You could just say this game is not tuned.
But Alex went down, and he's like, all right, pop me back up. And I was like, I cannot. There are police all around. They're just more cop cars coming in as if we had kicked the hornet's nest. I wasn't sure. So we tried it like 2 or 3 times, never got past it.
Okay.
It was weird.
It's super weird. Everything about this game is extremely weird in a way that makes me feel like this game should not have come out now. And I'm not sure that like more development time would have fixed, let's just say, the casting and dialogue and story and aesthetic choices that they're making, which are all uniformly terrible. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's a version of this game that might play all right, but it's not this. Like, as someone who has played even a little bit of Payday, I can tell you right now, the degree to which this is inferior is it is intense.
Is that shooting too? Like, is the shooting even?
The shooting feels like
good?
shit.
Oh boy.
The shooting's awful. Right. Like, it is kind of weightless.
It's like not great, but I don't know. It's not the worst, but
no. It is the worst because there are literally times where it feels like the aim down sights does not work.
Yes, you did say that was happening.
That was happening to me repeatedly.
Yeah, and you go down pretty quickly. If you're surprised,
like the stealth kills are fucking bugged and don't feel good. Like, the AI is extremely stupid or extremely capable and nowhere in between. This game feels like a tax dodge. It
also feels like it came out on the heels of like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and was stuck in that time where like
that's giving it too much credit.
Not that it is that it's like
this is like Chili Con Carnage level. What are we fucking doing here?
It's like the dialogue is like, we've moved on from this. I'm not sure who's appreciating this kind of banter you're having back and forth, but like even Grand Theft Auto is like moved on to slightly better banter that isn't as juvenile.
It's extremely juvenile. Like everyone refers to everything as fruity. Like everyone is just cussing up a storm. And I know I'm the pot calling the kettle black here on the cussing, but like, it's thoughtless cussing. It is completely unnecessary. And again, you have a voice cast here who ranges from, I'm going to say Michael Rooker is trying. Like, he's at least throwing some energy into his performance. Kim Basinger seems like she knows this is beneath her, but she's doing her best. Though, God, that fucking bug I saw that someone got.
I was debating whether to bring that up or not. Like, why is that in there?
So there was a bug someone on Twitch got where her textures started messing up during one of the cutscenes you get with Kim Basinger, and she pulled away the clipboard, and her boobs were out.
Like her shirt
rendered
kind of,
boobs.
Like they're modeled?
Like the shirt, her shirt was kind of not drawing in properly, and they straight up, like, she is like fully modeled underneath.
What, like nipples and everything?
Yes. Like extremely explicit, just like, why is this the case?
I mean, unless that comes up later on in a cutscene that is
maybe
is supposed to have that model in it, that seems pretty irresponsible for putting out a game today.
But this is a fairly irresponsible feeling game in just about every way. And like when I say it feels like a tax dodge, like I'm only half kidding. Like I literally was looking up as like, did Cypriot Money fund this somewhere down the road? Like I'm trying to figure out why this game is like this, why it came out in this state. Especially so soon after it was announced, and I can't figure it out. Like it's unless there was some sort of fiscal requirement that it had to be out this year, and there was no way they could just let it slip into next 505 publish this. Like I truly cannot fathom it because this is just an ungodly product.
Okay. We should mention with the characters, I just want to be clear, they are likenesses, but they are not the exact. They're like
they're pretty close.
It's the person for sure, but it's like it's Michael Madsen like 30 years ago. It's like
with his voice that sounds like it has just been dragged through fucking concrete. Like God.
Like I assume Vanilla Ice doesn't actually have this many face tattoos, although maybe.
I don't know.
He might have a few. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Also, the soundtrack is like weirdly good and kind of expensive feeling. Like there's Prodigy on there. That opening scene takes place to a Body Count song. Like
there's Hot Stepper, which I like.
They play Bon Jovi just about every goddamn time Chuck Norris shows up on screen. Like whatever they put the money into, they did not allocate it properly.
It's a weird one, man. I wonder if it'll have any traction. Maybe that's why they put the campaign in there in case it doesn't have the online legs. I don't know.
I don't think this has any legs, man.
Yeah.
There's no juice in this thing.
It's a weird one. Maybe we'll give it a try, just to kind of put it through some more of its paces. But I'll tell you this. I don't think I had a lot of fun.
No.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Not hardly.
I mean, I like playing games with you, Alex, and I like playing games co-op and stuff, so it's like fun to just kind of muddle through something, but gameplay-wise, like when we kept hitting that kind of police scene where it's like, oh my gosh, I think both you and I were like, we should probably give this another shot, like kind of forcing ourselves to be like, we got to start over, we should give this another shot.
This is the most don't play this game I have played in quite some time, especially one coming from even like a B-level publisher. Like, it is...
Well, especially with Payday out there, man. And also this game feels like it should be free. Like, maybe if you took the campaign out, I'm not here to tell people what to charge for their game and what development costs or anything like that. I'm just saying on the consumer end, if you was just that multiplayer, is Payday 2 free?
I don't think they ever went free to play, did they?
Okay.
They have a lot of like things you can buy in Payday is the thing. So
I think I mean it's $10 right now on Steam, like obviously low barrier to entry.
Like Payday 2
it's also been out for a decade is the thing.
Yeah.
But it's a beloved game. Like if you're going to come up against Payday 2, you better bring something pretty good. if you're gonna just try to make that game, you know.
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, Vanilla Ice is not it. It's not it.
That's Crime Boss Rockay City. Kind of a weird.
Don't play this game.
Weird one out there.
Don't do it.
I don't know if anybody is. We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, maybe we'll get into it and give it a try. The three of us to kind of see if maybe at least make it past that second mission. A game that came out today that I had the opportunity to play today. Lunark. Now this game is awesome. I really like this game so far. I have no idea how long it is. It's $20. I was playing it on the PC, but I think it's also available on the PlayStation and Xbox consoles out there.
And Switch.
No idea how any of those things run, but I don't think it would be too demanding on those platforms. It is a 2D kind of more severe pixel aesthetic than, let's say, something like Flashback, which it is Flashback. If you like Flashback, this is that game. Down to, I would almost say inspired by Flashback, but this is pretty much Flashback. I have really enjoyed it because I really like Flashback.
More Flashback than Another World.
So I was just going to say there are maybe a few elements from Another World that, or Out of This World, wherever you want to go with it.
I debated when I said that. I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go with the French original, or am I going to go with the title that I knew it by for all this time? Like, have we Final Fantasy 3 to Final Fantasy 6 to this thing yet, where we're just calling it by its original name? I'm not sure.
I want to say when they put it out recently again, I think they went with Another World. So I think we're there. Because there's a shield mechanic in it. That's like this kind of shield thing that you can get. But yeah, no, it's Flashback. The character even looks like a kind of it's stylized differently. It doesn't have the same graphic style.
It's interesting because the not like literal resolution on the screen, but the effective resolution of the pixel art makes it look like, I started to say like a Game Boy Advance game, but I think it's lower res than that. It looks like a Lynx game or something. Like Like the sprites are so low detail that it becomes like a stylized thing. Like you get what I mean if you look at a screenshot of it. Like the character, like the screenshot of the character's leap, like the leap across a gap, the jump is like, I don't know, 2 to 3 dozen pixels make up that character. It's it's almost like impression. Like I can almost count the pixels. There are like, I think 9 pixels in the head. It looks like the head is like 3 by 3 pixels.
Yeah, so yes, but it also has that Game Boy thing where it's running so fluidly and fast, where it's like, where you have that Game Boy Advance thing where like this, when it's in motion, this looks awesome.
I bet I could see the motion of it kind of selling the effect probably.
It also
I'm not saying it looks bad. It's just a very like stylized throwback kind of look.
It also has the thing that really was like, oh, this is just Flashback. It's got the kind of inserts of a cutscene, kind of almost 2D cutscene inserts when you go to pick things up of the guy's hand, kind of grabbing stuff. It's got I keep wanting to say fade to black Flashback, kind of level openings where like a ship will come in and like you've got these really nice animations. It's cool, man. I am digging it a lot. If you have played Flashback and don't like that style of animation priority in your running and moving, you will not like this game.
And like very specific jump control, like the jump length is kind of fixed. You don't have air control, like the whole jump up and grab a ledge and pull yourself up it type thing.
It is of that Prince of Persia style of animation over I don't know what you'd call it, snappy, air control, right? Animation over control, but I love that stuff. So it's cool. It is down to hanging down ledges, climbing up ledges. It's even got the run and hold up so you can grab that ledge as you're running stuff. You got a gun. There's robots and stuff. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at this trailer now on Steam, and it looks pretty awesome in motion.
Yeah, it's cool. Like again, you should look it up. It's called Lunark.
With
a K. I'm not sure how long it is again or where things go. I'm not super far into it, but it I kind of knew coming in this looked like a flashback, but it kind of went above my expectation of really like so far. It's put out by Way Forward. It's made by Canary Games. I'm not sure who Canary Games is, but I've heard of Way Forward.
This is, at least on Steam, this is their first game.
Okay. So far, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I might have to check this out.
It's at least worth looking at. And again, maybe we'll check it out somewhere soon on a grab bag or something, because if you're like me and just wanted a new flashback, and there was supposed to be one, I think, coming out soon, like a new flashback.
Yeah, where's that at?
I think it was originally supposed to be around the end of the quote unquote quarter, and then it just slipped around into 2023.
Yeah. Steam page just says coming soon. So
yeah. So you can check this out if you want to get in there. Again, that's Lunark with a K. I highly recommend at least looking into some video of it, especially if you like games like Flashback, Out of This World. Not really Blackthorn, but maybe the animation style of that kind of.
A little bit. Blackthorn kind of controls that way. Yeah.
Yeah, like a little rotoscope in your life.
It's the only game brave enough to let you shoot a shotgun without even looking, though.
That's right. I want to say even the guy, even in Lunark, even has the thing where you're crouching with the pistol and he holds it up in his hands and then moves over to the side.
Yes, that is a very Flashback thing.
Yeah. So check it out. Another game I had the opportunity to play today because it released today is Dredge. It's a game I have kind of been looking forward to since we did our Planorama where I first learned about it. It's kind of a mysterious, dark. Seems like something dark is going on. You're a fisherman who winds up crashing into this cove. And the kind of people of the town are like, we got you a boat. You can pay it off. Just go out and provide. We need a new fisherman. Our fisherman's gone. If you want to go fish and provide fish to sell here, you can buy off this boat and have a nice little lifestyle here. But everything's kind of grim looking and also very severe. It's got a kind of nice looking art style. The music is kind of rad. The pace is pretty chill, but you have to get your boat back by night because a fog rolls in and like you have a sanity meter or a panic meter that starts building up. And then there's the fishing mechanic where, do you like fishing and collecting all sorts of different fish like Animal Crossing style where you're like, oh, this is a new type of fish that comes out at night or not, or
maybe not when that's the main thrust of the game, but
well, you get upgrades for your boats. You can there's like 2 or 3 upgrade trees, your boat, your gear, your type of fish. It's cool. I'm enjoying it. It's $25. I'm playing on the PC as well.
I enjoyed this description. Dredge is a single player fishing adventure with a sinister undercurrent.
I think that's the way to put it. There's something sinister going on, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. But so far I have really enjoyed it. I should say Dredge and also Lunark. I'm playing on the PC, but they seem to have full controller support if you are going in there. The controllers.
I should maybe try these on the Steam link that I
Hell
just set
yeah!
Up. I need some good games to try out on that thing.
Yeah, or these seem like great games. If I don't know if they have support because I don't have one for something like a Steam Deck.
Oh yeah,
would be these seem like good ones for it. Dredge seems neat. I want to go back to, but it's funny because we recorded today, and these are probably the 2 games that released today are my favorite things I've played so far, even more than like Resident Evil. I'm like, man, I just want to play Lunark and Dredge. These seem awesome. So I'm pretty excited I got a chance to play those before this podcast. One more thing here I'll bring up that I got my hands on is Hellgineers. Hellgineers game over on itch. A couple of people floated this my way, and I think also to the developer's way, who then was like, people said you might like this. And it's a bridge builder in hell.
Okay, yeah, we found Vinny's wheelhouse.
And I was like, I like bridge builder. Sure, I'll check this out. It's cool. It is a very, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to use the word demake, but it is kind of a pixely bridge builder. So I haven't played one of those that is kind of that style. It seems pretty forgiving so far with the physics of the components you have in terms of stuff breaking. I played a decent amount of bridge building games, and sometimes some are more forgiving or not for like the stress you're going to be putting on a bridge in the early goings. So far, this seems fairly forgiving. It's got quite a number of levels. You're able to see most of the levels if you just scroll down. The soundtrack is pretty rad, and it's $4. Or I think Itch is like one of those things that's like you could pay, what you want for it. But
what's the soundtrack?
It's kind of just it's not like licensing or anything like that, but it is kind of just a beat that just kind of runs through. It's one of those games where the beat runs through no matter if you fail or not and move on to the next level.
Okay.
So it's like a pretty cool driving beat. Do not ask me to describe music in terms
give me
of
the genre. Give me the subgenre. Is it breakcore?
No, it's underground bridge building core.
Oh, okay. I get it now. I was looking at this. The itch page is not loading, but there's a co-host post about this thing.
What is a co-host post?
Co-host is another social media.
Okay.
It's one of the Twitters.
Yeah.
It's a budding social media. It's kind of like Twitter and Tumblr had offspring.
Yes.
Anyway, this is a Pico 8 game. Now I get it because I was looking at the screenshots going like, oh, weird. This is much like Lunark. This is an extremely like stylistically low-res pixel art looking game.
Yes.
That looks like it's made to run on a tiny screen. And then I look down and it is made in Pico 8 as they describe it, which Pico 8 is a sort of fake console / development platform. It's basically like specs for a console that was never actually manufactured, or it was kind of like. So yes, this is developed as if it were to run on a, like I'd say, an early to mid 90s cartridge based game console or handheld.
And it runs just fine. I mean, again, it's not doing anything ridiculous with its physics. Well, I mean, the physics are interesting to see in this pixel thing. You don't see that a lot. Mapped onto a pixel atmosphere.
Yeah, it looks
style.
It looks cool in motion.
Yeah, and like I said, the soundtrack's good. It's kind of got a good momentum and flow, which is good for a bridge building game to just kind of keep you moving through the levels. So yeah, Hellgineers seems like a fun game. Thanks for people recommending it over. I do enjoy a bridge builder and spent a bunch of time with it. A bunch of fun little things out there. Like I said, Lunark, Dredge, Hellgineers. Check those out. And then there's Rockay City if you are so inclined.
No, there isn't. I'm putting this off the table for you. If you are paying money for Rockay City, you are fucking up.
There's Resident Evil 4 and there's Tchia as well.
Yeah, those are fine. Go play those games.
Yeah.
Don't play fucking Crime Boss, for God's sakes. Don't play this fucking ChatGPT generated fucking payday game.
We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the news, including that new Zelda trailer. Ooh. What does the Nextlander crew think? We'll find out in just a little bit. This week's show is brought to you by Miracle Brand. Alex and Brad, you guys sleep hot?
Oh, God, do I ever. I am a hot little potato, man.
No comment.
Well, I also like to sleep cool. I like a cool sleep. I could sleep in an icebox. I'm like, Bernie Sanders. I want that window open in the winter. You're
like burning Sanders.
Boom. Got me. We're here to talk about Miracle Brand. Specifically, they sent us some sheets.
Yes.
These sheets are thermoregulating. It's a big word for keeping my body cool when I sleep.
What does that mean to you, the consumer? It means that if you got a hot body like me, when you sleep on those sheets, it's gonna cool you down a little bit.
Says here, inspired by silver-infused fabrics made by NASA.
Those are the space guys.
The space folks.
Space age? Or did we still say space age? Is this a space age fabric?
Space age thermoregulating sheets. Miracle Made makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. It says using that silver-infused fabric originally developed by NASA. Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you can get better sleep every night. Also, that same silver infused with natural silver prevents 99% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. It says no more gross odors. I don't know. You've been to my bedroom, Miracle Sheets.
You got some work ahead of you.
More than the sheets need silver in them. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. So stop sleeping on bacteria. I will not, but I will sleep on your sheets. It's okay. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Nextlander and use the code Nextlander to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Nextlander to treat yourself. Thanks, Miracle Made. And we are back. And we've got some news. I think some fun news here, some weird news, some sad news, and some just news.
Sounds like some news.
That's what news is now. First thing, though, I'm going to say this was uplifting news, and I don't mean that like pun intended. I mean that this news, what I saw here made me excited, and that is the new trailer, the new Zelda trailer for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is almost here.
So Nintendo dropped this trailer. It's a pretty substantial
gameplay walkthrough, I would say.
Yeah, they go out of their way to say this isn't everything, but here's some fun stuff that is going to happen. And Tears of the Kingdom. And I got in my own head about it. It's neat. We've seen some of the build up to this in the previous Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I'm going to call it Zelda shorthand from now on in my legal document. From now on, this will be referred to as Zelda. In the previous Zelda coverage,
we're talking about Totka here, not Botwa.
That's right. I want to make sure that's clear. So in the previous Zelda coverage we've had, you've seen Link doing these things, and now we kind of get an explanation for what the hell he is doing. Where should we start? Where do you guys want to start?
I'm going to start with this looks crazy.
You want to start
yeah. I'm going to start with, I don't want to blow my own horn here, but I took a fair amount of grief in 2008.
Okay.
For saying that Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was the best game of the year.
Okay.
And looking at the response to this footage on Twitter, I feel vindicated.
Finally,
your time has arrived.
Just freeform vehicle building was just ahead of its time, but here we are.
You can make a raft that looks like shit.
Yeah, like the kind of vehicle stuff they get into is awesome in here. I think the weapon fusing is the part that really made me go like, huh.
So you want to start with fuse?
Yeah, this walkthrough is basically just Aonuma basically running down. Here's like 4 new powers. One of them is fuse, where you can just make a weapon out of anything. You can shove a boulder onto the end of this branch and turn it into a hammer. You can. My favorite one was taking the long branch and sticking a pitchfork on the end of it just to make like a 20-foot long pitchfork.
That was pretty good. The eyeball on the arrow was pretty good for a heat-seeking arrow.
Yeah, so you can attach like crafting materials. Those that was a Keese eyeball, the bat eyeball. Yep. But like ice elements, all kinds of stuff that you would have just used as crafting previously. You could just like shove any of those on the front of an arrow and make it a weird arrow.
So like you said, there's kind of affinity for elemental affinity, like ice arrows and stuff like that, but they put an eyeball on for tracking.
I made it like a homing arrow.
I'm not sure if there's stuff that'll just be like the cooking. They don't show this, or if they did, I missed it. Like the cooking where you just get a bad meal kind of thing, where you just got like, oh, you tried to craft, like, we're not going to account for every single thing you could combine. Some things are just going to be like, didn't work.
Yeah, it seems like that would just be kind of endless design work to actually...
Right.
Not enough human hours in the world to do that or whatever, but like knowing how the first game worked, I would bet there are a lot of valid combinations and a lot of like crazy effects you can get with this.
And there'll probably be a lot that people don't discover until like way late after it has come out.
Yeah. I mean, like there were animated GIFs on Twitter of Breath of the Wild for like 2 years after that game came out of people just doing insane things with the magnetism or fire or whatever. I kind of wonder if Fuse is almost like a response to the kind of backlash to the weapon durability, which, for the record, is still in here.
Oh, yeah. They're not getting rid of that.
They go extremely out of their way in the first 30 seconds to be like, yep, your weapons still break, but check this out. Now you can just make weapons out of anything, so who cares?
Or make them, I think he says, this is much more durable now.
Yeah, it's... So as a sidebar here, the English narration on this video is just so delightfully weird because it's very like acted or manicured, but it's trying to capture the like, oh, look at that, like the very
end of the moment.
His
inflection as he's going.
it's trying to do the very in the moment, off the cuff style of voiceover that Aonuma's doing, but it's like they're reading from a script at the same time. It's just the delivery is kind of goofy.
It's goofy.
So Fuse is basically weapon crafting, which is different than, let me check my notes here, which is different than Ultra Hand.
Yes, Ultra Hand.
Vehicle crafting.
I guess that's the distinction. Ultra Hand is for vehicle stuff. Fuse is for making weapons.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. Ultra Hand is how you make the weapons.
Oh, the vehicles.
Or, I mean, the vehicles, yes. Yeah. The raft example. It's interesting, they like stick these logs together, and it seems like it does a lot of the alignment work for you of just like, I'm going to kind of slap these logs together and it's just going to line them up perfectly.
Yes.
To make this raft shape. It looks like they attach in increments, where you can see they take two of them and kind of adjust it into this like rocket ship looking shape.
Yeah, and then he throws some fans on the back, which is like, all right, sure. And it looks like there's a battery gauge, and I'm not sure if that's something.
It's very lucky that someone just left all those box fans around on the ground.
Yeah, right. It's like, but they're mystical, like ancient technology box fans, not
Yeah, no, like the mystical ancient version of Target is where they got those.
Yeah, some of the voiceover in this part kind of caught my ear about like he's like, oh, because this raft is made out of wood is buoyant, so it'll float in the water, and then. I know there were some air current mechanics in the first game, but then like he jumps on top of one of these fans and he's like, oh, wind, it just like I said, there was fire and cold and magnetism and stuff like that and electricity in the first game. It seems like maybe they're going even harder on some kind of simulated fundamental force type stuff. It just seems like the sandbox is expanding pretty dramatically here.
Yeah, that's the kind of takeaway I got, which is like, oh, are they moving more in a survival Zelda fashion where you're now crafting more weapons, you're crafting more vehicles to, are you going to chop these trees down to make your raft and then go find the pieces? Because they do say, even all the vehicles they've shown previously, which I kind of seemed like, I think people kind of gathered that these were crafted vehicles, not found vehicles.
In that last trailer, they show screenshots from that trailer of those vehicles. Yeah, they did have a little bit of a look of kind of user-made UGC user-generated content, but it was nice for them to say explicitly like, hey, none of those vehicles you saw last time are things we put in the game. Those are just things that somebody can make.
I do wonder if you'll find blueprints that are like, oh, here's a sailboat blueprint. It's like you need, 3 sticks, 1 cloth.
I bet you will get at very minimum like some kind of tutorialized, hey, here's a couple of different vehicle types you can build. Now go nuts.
And like the what looks like some logic you can build into these things. Like there's this raft with a sail on it where he's sailing across a pond and then he whacks the fans and now it starts flying. Plane boat cars coming back.
I wonder I wonder how they'll implement your build limit in terms of how many vehicles and parts, like you can have in this world. Can I build an army of sailboats, right? Or are they going to be like, no, man, you've already hit your build limit.
Right. Like you can only attach, say, a dozen objects at a time or something like that.
Yeah. In total in the world,
right. Like, it's like, oh, next time you slap something on here, another part, the last part in the queue that you put on is going to fall off or something.
Yes. Or what did they do in another game where the rain had durability and it was basically if you leave this thing out, or maybe that was in Death Stranding, a very similar game, where it's like, oh yes,
well, that had death rain in it was the thing.
Well, what I'm saying is like maybe this will be like, oh, here's our way of maintaining the world. That's like, oh, it'll wipe out every once in a while because of the what's the eclipse in this? The dark blood moon? Is it the blood moon in the Breath of the Wild?
I think it was.
Like, hey, things don't last past the blood moon. If your vehicles are there, they're just going to get burned down and tossed. They need something, otherwise you'd have just way too much crap littered in the world.
Yeah, I think like Fuse and Ultra Hand were the things that really stood out to me here, but Ascend is also a weird power because you can just kind of port through any ceiling above you, no matter how thick it is.
I think that one might be my favorite because it's so random.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's literally just like, let's just put a wall hack in this game.
And like, the way they do it in the voiceover again is like, basically, like in the old game, you had to climb. Now you can just go through ceilings.
Yeah, kind of.
There has to be a ceiling, though.
Kind of like Fuse and durability. That almost came off to me like, people kind of got annoyed at the stamina and climbing mechanics, so let's just give them another easy shortcut to get around here.
So this is one that I wonder I mean, they must know this when they're programming this, but this is when I wonder where people are going to be like, okay, you got to, first move is get ascend, and if you go to this overhang, you can kind of clip through to the top of this thing in a plate where you're not supposed to.
The potential for physics exploits in this seems pretty large. The thing I thought they were building up to with ascend, when they were like, there has to be a ceiling above you.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to say, like, by the way, those sky islands that are like 5 miles up in the sky count as ceilings.
Sure.
You can just ascend from the ground right up to those. I don't think that's the case. But
Or we'll just roll in the last one here. They kind of show these, it's called recall. This was maybe the least kind of exciting one, but it's basically rewinding time for certain objects, and they show this platform descending, and they're like, oh, you missed the platform, but you can use recall to rewind the time line of it.
That one is the most just straight up like Portal or Portal-esque, I think, kind of puzzle solving mechanic of just like, just rewind objects, motion through space, and ride on them if you want or whatever. But
I was wondering if you could use that to be like, oh, can you warp, get it above you, warp through it as a ceiling, then rewind it more, warp through it again to ascend with the kind of like pull the thing back. I don't know if that counts. What's a ceiling? What is a ceiling really? What's the difference between a ceiling and a platform, bottom of a platform? I got really excited for this. Like,
this looks way crazier than I was expecting.
I mean, it feels like extensions of the sandbox tools that they were already playing around with in the first game. Sure. Like, none of it is like that far afield. It feels like, okay, we just want to escalate the shit out of what we were doing in the last game. Yeah,
it kind of like, I've sort of quietly been thinking of this as the Majora's Mask, where Majora's Mask was Ocarina, but with weird-ass mechanics that they wanted to experiment with, and this kind of feels sort of like that, of, same game world, same base map with a bunch of new stuff built on it, and all these crazy new mechanics they came up with.
Like, can you explore the same world? Are you going to be able to, like, be ascending through old level? Because it is
the same map.
When they programmed the old map, I'm sure they didn't account for people coming through ceilings and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, who knows what's changed on the map? But my understanding is that the general layout is the same as the first game.
Okay,
but with all these islands.
I do have a question for you, and I'm sorry if this is going to make some of our audience gasp, but. What is the Zonai or Zonai stuff people are talking? Zonai.
Yeah, I saw you're picking up some Zonai materials in this. I'm not sure.
Like, I saw people getting very excited for that also in relation to this. Like, kind of, it's happening! But I wasn't really sure what that is. I wasn't sure if that's the ancients or pre-ancients or what's going on there. So maybe somebody can fill me in on the Discord or something. Just message me.
Legend of Zelda's Zonai theories are back after new Tears of the Kingdom trailer.
That's right.
Says this Polygon headline.
And what does that mean?
A unseen prehistoric tribe of barbarians, apparently.
Yeah, it seems like some of the like armor and ancient artifact stuff from Breath of the Wild was Zonai stuff. I don't know what people are theorizing is going to happen here.
Okay.
Exactly.
Where does this one fall in the
oh man,
timeline.
Don't make me.
No, I have to be more specific than timeline. In the Ganon is dead timeline.
Don't make me dust off this copy of Hyrule Historia that I don't own.
Is this one of the earlier ones?
I could not tell you where Breath of the Wild falls.
Or is this one of the later ones? I forget. Every time a new Zelda comes out, I always look it all up again.
I resist any and all attempts to create an overarching Zelda chronology. Like, I just find it to be an exercise in absurdity.
I love it, and I also recognize it to be the most, like, shoehorned into a thing. Like, it's not necessarily fan fiction, but it's as close to fan fiction as you. It is printed in. I do have the Hyrule story. It is printed in this book, but I find it fun when they had to go into branching timelines. Is when it was like, okay, we have gone too far. You couldn't even make this work anymore.
Yeah.
Well, now you can put a giant boulder on the end of the timeline branches. So
fuse it together.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, man, I'm gonna play this one. I bounced pretty hard off of Breath of the Wild, and I think part of the reason is that inherently, when I play one of these games, I kind of just want to be getting a boomerang and a master sword and a hook shot and all that kind of stuff. And I respect that they are doing something buck wild with this, and it is a different approach. It's maybe just not what I'm looking for Zelda, but I'm going to give this one a shot because I saw enough that I did like about the first one. I just didn't grab me. maybe this will be the one. I don't know.
Well,
this looks like the kind of thing that I get the most excited about in video games these days. Is just a big ass sandbox full of tools that like kind of game design mechanical Legos to try sticking together in different ways.
Yeah, you like to fuck around a lot more. I think
I live for that. Like I live for that moment of being in a situation trying to overcome something, and then just a little light bulb moment of like, oh my god, I could do this and this. I could put these together. Oh my god, that works. That's amazing.
I also really like that it seemed like, I don't know, let's say 30 to 45 second long drop off of that sky island, like was a kind of cool big space. There's something about that scale I really liked this seems genuinely kind of far to be up there when Link just kind of fell off the world and started falling.
Yeah.
I liked Breath of the Wild. I didn't love it as much as some people did, but this has been, I think, for the same reasons, Brad. This stuff, what can you make? How can you get around the intended purpose for some of these things?
Yeah, or even just like what kind of improbable fuse combinations did they come up with in here that I don't expect?
Yes. So yeah, this is soon, right?
Yeah, May. I forget what the date is. It's in May.
May is soon. That's only like a month and change now.
Yeah, they're done. He says in here.
Yeah, development has
completed.
Jeez.
March or May 12th.
This is the most excited I've been for this game, and I'm glad they put this gameplay stuff out because I was thinking, listen, I didn't love Breath of the Wild, but like I'll go back in for more puzzles. But seeing all this stuff with the new these are new dedicated features is pretty cool. That is exciting. The new is it Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom?
No, it's just Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. It's a new Tears of the Kingdom trailer. You should go check it out if you're interested. It's like 14 minutes as a gameplay.
About 10 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah,
it's nice to see it. Nice to see it running. Nice to know that it seems like performance is basically going to be fine. It does look kind of low res in spots. Hard to tell. Hard to tell how much YouTube compression is playing a factor there, but at least it seems to run decently.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. Let's see what the village, the Kakariko village of this game is, or the waterfall is, or the rain of this game.
That was at least on Wii U, it was the Zora area by far. Was like fucking frame rate in the teens, man. It was rough, but that's what I get for playing it on a Wii U, I guess.
Best version. Switch had some issues too.
Yeah, Switch was not perfect.
We're going woo 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 woo. It's the E3 alarm. We have more E3 news.
Unfortunately, that alarm is the one that you normally hear on an EKG meter when someone is dying.
Mm-hmm. Hey, bold prediction here.
I need a crash cart for E3.
Yeah, no, he's flatlining. Oh God, prediction. We have no pulse. There's no Ubisoft. Fuck.
There's not going to be an E3. That's my prediction.
You think they're gonna just scrap it?
I think
that was an IGN story. All but says that. Yeah.
I know. There's like a little doom and gloom prognosticating, or was it? What is the quote in there?
Nah,
the show cannot happen.
It ain't that.
Yeah. All right, Brad, why don't you kick us off? Why are we talking about this? Surely Ubisoft, the ones who said if there's an E3, we'll be there.
That quote from Yves Guillemot about it will be there if there is one.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, you're helping to ensure that there isn't one, sir. Ubisoft has confirmed they will not have a presence at whatever E3 is. They will still be doing a live event in Los Angeles on June 12th, which is right in the E3 window.
That to me says this ain't working out, man. If we're still got our LA plans at the same time parallel to this, we just don't want to sign up with your gig. That reads as something bad.
Yeah. And then this IGN story came out that essentially describes like kind of this chicken and egg process of like everybody's afraid to commit to doing E3, and so because everybody's afraid to commit to E3's not happening. It's like if they'd gotten buy-in from everybody, it would be fine, but because every publisher is looking at every publisher going, are they buying in?
Right.
Should we do it? We don't want to be the ones looking foolish for signing up when nobody else did. Somebody's got a blank here, right? But
I think the blinking is leaving the room. Like as more big publishers leave, I mean, we have a bunch of confirmed not going to be at least part of the ESA Z3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft had said they were in, but they're out. This IGN article confirmed Sega.
Sega responded. Yeah, Sega responded to the request for comment to say that they would not be involved. Let's see. The IGN reporters also reached out to EA, Square Enix, Embracer Group, Activision Blizzard, Epic Games, Take-Two, and Warner Brothers. None of whom responded.
But EA's not going to be part of this.
Yeah, I mean, they had kind of been off the floor and doing their own thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking for the line here. So none of those companies responded for comment, but then the story says IGN understands that more publishers plan to skip E3, but that they have yet to make a formal announcement. So there is the they mentioned in here there is the Play Days event taking place the week before that some publishers will be at showing games, but that's a much smaller, like, kind of press only.
And that's the Keighley back
press part of it. Like,
Okay.
he also does Summer Games Fest. But that's like an in-person event where people go and play games and potentially like take footage or talk to developers. But much more of a traditional press event. Yeah.
It is.
It was looking pretty likely for like months now, but it really seems like it's kind of a done deal at this point that like this is not happening.
I'm
certainly not the way.
Sorry, go ahead.
Certainly not the way they wanted to, and maybe not at all.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if Reed Pop is maybe wondering if they got a lemon here. Like,
yeah, if they got sold a bill of goods.
Yeah, because I have to imagine that when this deal was being put together, someone told them it's like, if you put your resources behind this, the publishers, they will come. And they did not come. Like,
who knows how it would have gone down with the stuff they were saying early on when they first got the contract or whatever. When it was first announced that Reed would be running the show, like the stuff they were saying was like, okay, this sounds promising. They sound like they know that they've got their work cut out for them, but that they understand what was valuable about E3. Like, maybe this will work out, but there's also some reporting in here that people inside of Reed Pop feel kind of betrayed or left holding the bag.
Oh here. Yeah. I think that article goes on to say they're having a leadership change out, right?
Yeah, I don't get the sense
for
that,
a bit, I think.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that that's related to this, but it can't be helping,
right?
Whatever's being done internally. But yeah, it sounds like they're feeling burned about this process. Like, where's the ESA in all of this? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't
Not
know. Not
mentioned here,
right? It's Look, there's a lot going on right now, I think, in terms of publishers figuring out what is important to them in terms of, getting their message to their audience and people to buy games and all of this stuff. I don't know where E3 fits into that. It hasn't felt like it has in a while.
It doesn't.
We are going to get to this later, but there's also been a lot of turnover in the industry in terms of I was just going to say there's been layoffs within the industry, and there's another story about the EA's layoffs, but also there's been a lot of spending and profit in the industry. So I really don't know what is going on in terms of bottom line stuff and where they want to put their money. But it does seem like we talked about this with the Ubisoft. It's not like they don't want to do a presentation in LA during that week. They don't want to pay whatever fee or play ball with whatever is going on with E3 to make that happen as a joint venture. So I don't know what those contracts look like. This IGN story, kind of says it explicitly here. A lot of these companies worked with Reed to say, what do we want from an E3? And then we're like, nah, we also don't want it.
We're not actually going to invest.
It's like hard to feel sympathetic for Reed Pop or anything, E3 like that, but it does seem like that's kind of fucked up in a way. To be like, what? We made the thing you said you wanted. And you're like, yeah, I don't know.
You didn't make it good enough.
But also, we're going to be down there anyway, so we're still going to do our thing. So no hard feelings. If you want to
roll by, you're welcome to, but we're not here to help you out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I don't know. So what is this? What is the current state of E3 ticket sales? Are they available?
There are none.
Okay,
yet.
So it's just registration for press.
Yes.
Okay. Whew. Man.
Weird stuff. Actually, let me just double check here and make sure that's the case.
I feel like we would have heard prices if there were ticket sales.
Yeah, okay, yes, I confirmed on, because there is a buy tickets button on their site. I just wanted to make sure, but it just takes you to a kind of coming soon sort of thing. Man, like what? They must have that convention space booked out already, right? What is going to happen?
I don't know. At some point, you probably lose less by not having it than by having it and not filling it. You know, like whatever guarantee you have for that space and whatever you have to do, you're like, we're just taking this loss and versus the other stuff. And you know, I think Brad, like you mentioned in this article, mentions you probably get this really horrible snowball effect as more people go. It's impossible to get more people to come back on. You know, it's just like, I don't know, nobody's going to this thing.
Yes.
It's like getting invited to something and then finding out all of the people you want to see at that party are not going to be there. And it just makes it less likely to be like, I don't know, I guess I could go. I don't know. Maybe we'll just stop by for a couple of minutes and just say, you know what? Nah, but we are having a party across the street with a bunch of your friends.
Sorry, I had a thing I actually had to get to. I just wanted to drop this bottle of wine off. Gotta go
across the street to where the actual party is.
Yeah.
Hang out in this parking lot.
Yep. All right.
They got barbecue over there.
Mm-hmm.
That is E3 2023, which for all intents and purposes is not that far away because it is like 3 months.
And yet so far away. It feels
barely over 2 months at this point, about 2.5 months.
Yeah. It's like,
or less.
By this point, we would probably have a schedule. Not appointments booked necessarily, but like we would probably have at least lodging and stuff.
Late March. It's kind of just a tad bit early, but traditionally appointment invites would start going out in like 2-3 weeks from now for like the earliest ones.
You get your showing unknown game.
Yes. There would be a whole lot of who is this? What is the caliber of company who is trying to get me to come see a game without telling me what it is? Is it likely to be worth it? Let's figure it out. But
unknown game.
Yeah, like they point out in the story, like the publishers for sure would have like very rigid plans in place by now for what their marketing spend was and travel and the whole thing. And like none of that is there, so it's just like almost can't happen at this point.
And I'll say I don't talk to too many people about this. You guys probably do more, but it seems like within the coverage industry, a lot of people are just like, I don't know what's going on.
No one does.
Yes.
Like, are you going to E3? I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's move on into, this was kind of a weird one out of left field for me, but maybe other people knew about it. Brad, tell me what's going on with the Multiverses.
They shut the beta down. The open beta for Multiverses, a game that I thought was just in wide release.
The open beta everyone clearly knew about because you are not the only person I've seen make that comment. And let me tell you right now, I had no idea this game was an open beta.
Like the open beta of a game that has been in the state for I started to say close to a year. That's not quite fair. I think the closed test was about this time last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been out like the better part of a year in just the form of anybody can download and play this and put money into it.
Put money into it.
That's kind of a key distinction here.
But apparently they were kind of taking this beta period seriously and are closing the game down at the end of June. So you still got 3 months to play it, but.
And you can play it single player. Like they're taking most of the online stuff off. It sounds like if you have it downloaded, you'll still be able to play offline.
I think it's completely unavailable after June 25th, I believe.
This says during this downtime, all online modes and features will be unavailable. You'll have limited offline access to the training room.
Oh, training room, yes,
and local matches. Yeah.
Okay.
And you keep what I guess some of the stuff you paid for. Was it in this fact? It said Gleamium. Is that the name of it?
I guess that's their currency. People really like this. This is the sort of Warner Brothers cinematic universe, Smash Brothers like platform fighter. If people don't remember, like it did way better than I expected. Like in terms of its kind of the uptake in the fighting game community and stuff, people were like, "This game's actually quite good." But I don't know how it's doing now. I don't know where the numbers are at. I mean, they say they're like, hey, we've learned a lot, but we still have a lot of work left to do. going to be rebalancing and redoing X, Y, and Z until next year. Like, it's going offline in late June and coming back in early 2024, so it's like a good long while for this thing to be unavailable. It's kind of, I have not seen something like this before.
And again, I mean, granted, I had not played it a great deal since like the first month after it came out. I don't think I had a great perception that this was still an open beta. I really thought this was just the game.
I mean, typically that language is meaningless because even when they say it's an open beta, it's really, you know, it's really just out. Like they'll say here it is, it's open beta, everybody can play, and it's like, okay, yes, sure, that game's just out. Come on.
I clicked another article from November 2022 on the Multiverses.com site, official site, called Season 2. Hey there, MVS community. We wanted to take a moment to talk about some of the awesome things that are on the way in Season 2 and reflect some of our big Season 1 milestones, which doesn't sound like talk you would do for an open beta, right? Like, sounds like talk you would do for a game that's out. So, you know.
Hang on. What? What?
Posted as of 3 minutes ago.
What?
E3 has been canceled.
Whoa!
wait, breaking news?
IGN is reporting. IGN is confirming that the event has been canceled.
What a headline.
E3, so nobody's going to E3?
This is the ESA announcing. The Entertainment Software Association confirmed. Oh, they didn't announce it. Sounds like
it's an internal email.
Yeah, it sounds like they confirmed to its member companies and somebody.
We should always do the podcast on Thursday, record on Thursday from now on.
Seriously.
Look at all this stuff.
Yeah, geez. IGN can confirm. E3 has been canceled. Supposed to be held on June 13th, 16th.
They're never doing another one of these.
No, that's it.
It's
done.
No,
it's
they will do like
done.
10 years from now. Somebody will be like, I'm bringing E3 back, like Woodstock style, and they'll do two of them.
We're done.
Wow.
Man.
Simply did not garner the sustained interest necessary to execute it in a way that would showcase the size, strength, and impact of our industry.
That is a very fancy way of saying that dog won't hunt.
Yeah. Yep. Whatever. The writing was on the wall for this.
We were literally reading that writing like 5 minutes ago.
That's right.
No, I mean, the kind of the mental sort of milestone in my head is 2016 because that's the year they showed Breath of the Wild playable on the show floor.
Yeah.
And then, meaning that's the year that we went and played that game and then sat down right next to that booth on the show floor and recorded a podcast about it.
Yep.
Because there should never have been enough empty floor space and enough relative quiet on the show floor of E3 to record a podcast.
Sit crisscross applesauce on a carpet and just...
Like, it should never have been quiet enough in here for these microphones to pick this up. Like, that was the moment that I looked around and went, man, this thing is shrinking. Like, what is going on here? And that was 7 years ago.
So, there was one off year or no? Was it just, or was it virtual during the COVID time?
Well, remember 2020 was the year that, so they were trying to retool it then, and that was the year that like I Am 8-Bit had been contracted to help plan the show.
Okay.
And then you started hearing rumors that like that
stuff was not
going well, and then I Am 8-Bit pulled out of that agreement.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened and work from home started, and then like the day after that, it got out that like, hey, E3's canceled this year, and it was very, very much at the time. I looked at that as like, boy, they sure did get to piggyback on what's going on with the pandemic to say, hey, we're responsibly not holding an in-person event this year. And I was like, you weren't sure you were going to be able to do that anyway, but.
So I'll say this. Listen, if you want to come hang out for not E3 during E3 week, because it still sounds like there's a bunch of press conferences and stuff that'll be going up, we'll probably be doing something, watching some video games being
We
presented.
will watch someone play or talk about some video games somewhere this summer. That will happen.
Will E3 be that different without E3? I don't know, actually. We'll see. At least in terms for us, on the publisher and feet on the ground, and obviously, and all the union guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they build those booths, and there's a lot of work
they'll
there.
go build something else.
Yes, another PAX in the summer. All right. Thanks, Alex, for breaking that news here.
Sorry to interrupt, but this just broke, so.
and Multiverses. So
anyway, that thing,
get your Multiverses in there.
They say it'll be back early next year. I don't really have any reason to doubt them, but that does seem like a pretty big gap for something that built up a good amount of momentum.
You're talking about Multiverses, not E3.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. E3, you think will not be back?
No, absolutely not.
All right.
It was dead 3 years ago.
They just finally got around to burying the body.
They attempted this necromancy this year. It did not pay off.
I mentioned this before, but there were more layoffs within the, let's call it the bigger tech sphere, but specifically within the gaming sphere. EA is going to be laying off more than 700 employees across its businesses. That's 6% apparently of the employees at EA. We have, I guess, almost 1,300 employees. Man, I guess that's worldwide, but that still seems like a big number. Yeah. The kind of takeaway from this article was that they are not claiming like profit loss here or that the books didn't work out. They are saying their long-term goals might be kind of there, but in this short term, they're up in terms of money brought in and revenue. So they're kind of not like everyone else. It's like we're contracting because of market contraction and all that. They're kind of saying we're in a pretty strong position here.
Yep. I just don't have anything for these people to do. So goodbye.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson, everybody, this is the problem with E3 going away. Are we going to be able to recognize our CEOs anymore? Andrew Wilson.
He's the one that looks like a robot.
Yes. He said, EA is actually gaining momentum. And then was like, well, we have to lay people off.
God, I just realized, I don't know if we should get into it. There is a little bit of a Jude Law in AI kind of quality there.
I've literally made that joke. That specific joke about him being the gigolo bot. Yes, that is totally who he is.
As soon as you said robot, that's exactly the image that came to mind.
EA did not say specifically from where these cuts will be, what department. They've kind of said, I'm going to read this, though it pains me to read it because it's such a corporate speak thing. Let me just find it. It's like what they are focusing on: building games and experiences that entertain massive online communities, creating blockbuster interactive storytelling, and amplifying the power of community in and around our games with social and creator tools. That's where they're focusing, and anything that doesn't align with that can hit the bricks. Yeah. So, our thought is, of course, I hope everybody who's affected by this finds work. It sounds like this is on the heels of a lot of other layoffs that are happening. Some bigger than others. So sounds kind of rough out there in tech right now as people contract. This article that I'm reading on Polygon and the reporting on it cannot find a good reason for EA to be laying these people off other than it seems like maybe they are following suit from other layoffs.
It's something you see in the techosphere said over and over is that like once one company starts doing layoffs, all the other boards of the other big companies all look at that and go, well, we need to clearly, it's just like something gets into the water,
Like are our goals aligned? Maybe we need to figure out our goals are aligned. And by that, I mean, we need to cut about 700 fucking people.
Something gets into the water that makes all the board members of big companies go like, we have to lay off people. We got to start making cuts. Everybody else is doing it.
Or maybe they're like, if our number's just smaller than the other guy's number, we can hide in the background and do these layoffs without it getting the front page. Just make sure we stay underneath Microsoft, and then they'll be the bigger one. So yeah, that's a lot of people. That's 700 jobs. I hope those folks find. They did say in this article they're looking to, for positions that can't be reassigned, they are looking to do severance packages and to take care with other benefits. I don't know what that means. I'm not a member of EA, so good luck to everybody looking for jobs there out in the post EA world. We're gonna end here. Our last story we have queued up is, of course, about path tracing. What else would it be?
Mm-hmm. Of course, this is something I put this in here as a little gift to myself. This is something I did for me
as a treat.
This got announced at GDC. Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a full path tracing mode, which is a pretty damn big deal in this type of advanced graphics because the only other games that have since the advent of real-time ray tracing 4 years ago now, the only other games that have gotten full path tracing so far are Minecraft, Quake 2, and that Portal RTX mod that just came out. So all kind of small-scale retro experiments so far. So for a game of the kind of scope and production value of Cyberpunk to get it is kind of a pretty big deal on multiple levels.
Can I ask you kind of a maybe what might be a dumb question, was most certainly a dumb question, but indulge me if you will.
Sure.
Does path tracing mean you are absolutely turning off most global illumination within a scene to actually kind of render just accurate light sources?
I mean, I'm certainly not an academic graphics researcher, but I guess my best understanding of path tracing is basically ray tracing, but more. Like, it's just a much more fully robust and generalized version of it.
Are you doing more bounces and more emitted light sources?
It has something to do with the kind of raycasting distribution and how many bounces and a bunch of stuff like that. But
okay. But it's not every single light you see was cast from something, that it's not...
My understanding, it is kind of everything you see in a lighting context on screen is being done all by the same model.
Okay, that's pretty intense.
All by light bounces, so, any kind of like ambient colored lighting bouncing off multiple surfaces and kind of all the refraction and soft shadows and all the stuff, it's kind of the closest to like we are just trying to simulate light fully here.
Okay, so nothing should be baked in at that point?
No,
or
definitely not.
To our understanding?
Definitely not. And
that's pretty wild.
And how you know that this shit is serious is that those, like, when I got my 3080 at launch a couple years ago, like, all the other stuff I played was like, yeah, okay, fine, this is cool. And then I played that Quake 2 thing they put out. Fans all went to max, like computer roaring, and barely getting 60 frames a second in it. And that's Quake 2,
So what is this supposed to... Is anybody going to actually be able to run this?
I don't know. I don't believe they have really gotten serious about the specs to run this yet. It's coming out on April 11th, which is, as of right now, which is not that far off. It's just... On one level, it's cool that there is a good, solid, very hardcore kind of new benchmarking standard for this type of hardware and this type of technique. It's also just going to be really cool again to see a game this detailed with this kind of these kinds of effects. I am very curious to see what it takes to run it, though.
And to your knowledge, they had CD Projekt Red, or is it CD Projekt? Who is it? I always get them confused now. I think it's CD Projekt Red.
Yes.
They have not put out any video or anything that's like, hey, here's what we expect it to look like.
My understanding is that GDC attendees, people who got meetings with NVIDIA for this, got to see footage of it. But I don't think that footage has been released yet.
Not that I've seen anywhere.
Okay.
I mean, this is also kind of a good stealth marketing for other features on these cards, like DLSS 3, because it's basically like, hey, you're going to need literally everything you can get to run this at playable frame rates. So here's us pushing this to the absolute limit. And even having to utilize every shortcut we can to just make this work.
I can't wait to try this out at 640 by 480 on my PC.
And I guess it seems like it's whatever. We don't have to spend forever on tech talk here. It seems like NVIDIA has put out a path tracing SDK alongside this, which should be helpful for people working on such features.
This stuff looks so cool that when I see it, that if developers get out there and they just tell me that their small game is one room game with just glass shelves is path traced, I still want to see it because there's a novelty there. Yeah. So if any developer is out there and wants to make a small scope game with path tracing, I will still want to check that out. Even demos and stuff.
Yeah, I'm still just super hungry for anything like that I can get my hands on.
Like that Minecraft stuff was very cool.
Dude, that shit's so awesome. Like making that hall of mirrors out of all those glass blocks.
It's cool.
And like making, just combining different colored things together and just playing with it all. It's very fun.
So yeah, that's in a couple of weeks, a few weeks here, just two, actually, to maybe possibly at least see video of somebody running it somewhere, because I'm sure this is going to be a system melter.
I really look forward to Alex Battaglia's video from Digital Foundry on this. Like the video he did of regular, like Cyberpunk shipped with a very good ray tracing implementation already. If you actually want to go pull up the video he did a couple of years ago on that, there's a ton of good side-by-side even of a more limited ray tracing implementation side by side with the traditional stuff, where you can really see the subtlety that's there. Anyway,
never been a better time to go back to Cyberpunk. Unless,
maybe.
I've been kicking around this idea that maybe that should be a thing that we stream at some point.
I would not mind playing that game finally. I mean, that DLC is coming out this year supposedly, and it sounds like once that's in, would maybe that plus this would be a good time to go back.
Again, if this even runs like on some human level of computer, so we'll see. This sounds like it's going to be pretty intense.
Well, even without, I mean, like it just the stuff that like the regular ray tracing and just sort of like general overhauls of that game. Again, I have not touched it since launch, so I would love to maybe finally sit down and see what that thing finally turned into.
Yeah, same. My understanding is that DLC is kind of one of those mid-game things of, these missions become available halfway through the game. It's not necessarily something you'd want to load into from a clear save.
Okay.
But if you were playing through the game start to finish, like you'll just have access to that stuff.
One other quick question here, just to clarify. This is NVIDIA based only, right? This is not...
yes, probably.
Okay.
Probably. Hard to... this SDK, they do... The name of this SDK is the RTX Plus Path Tracing SDK, and RTX is an NVIDIA trademark. That very much seems like it probably relies on their specific hardware.
Okay. Yeah. I
don't like that's been a thing so far. Like that first version of Quake 2 RTX only ran on the NVIDIA, the 20 series RTX cards with like custom NVIDIA extensions or whatever. At some point, they updated that thing with the more general Vulkan ray tracing stuff, and at that point, it also ran on AMD hardware.
I know there's more than a lot now of people who have switched over to AMD systems.
Yes, that's definitely, I think, the more cost effective option this generation.
Yeah. For sure, and seem to really love it to the point where I was like, man, maybe on one of these machines I might throw it in. I mean, they're still expensive cards at the top of it.
Other than the ray tracing performance, those are very competitive cards.
All right, that is Cyberpunk getting some path tracing, and it's the full game will run path trace. That's the idea. Yeah, it's not just like a segment of it or a demo.
Yeah, it's as far as I know, it's the whole thing here.
And that's from GDC. We talked about that Zelda trailer. We had E3, which is now that story to be corrected, which is there is no more E3 for 2023 at the very least, possibly going forward indefinite future. Multiverses shutting down its beta. If you happen to be playing in the beta, that will be shutting down. And layoffs over at EA. That's the news. And I'm just going to remind people because some of these game names I know aren't the most popular, but we did cover the games I really liked there. Dredge and Lunark are the two games that if you're looking to get into. And Hellgineers was also a lot of fun too. So might not have been on your radar, but you should check those out. We have an email address. It is podcast@nextlander.com. That is podcast@nextlander.com. But we are not going to do emails this week as we try to shuffle around our bodies and ourselves.
We're late enough as it is. Let's get this one out the door.
Yeah, we're trying to get back online to some semblance of a schedule. If you're listening to this also, we're probably going to be moving the Patron's Choice stream to Monday, and we're going to jump into some stuff on Friday, normal stream stuff, with the Patron's Choice being on Monday. So if you're looking for the Patron's Choice poll, that should be going up in the near future, and that stream will be on Monday. So just kind of a scheduling change there as we had to shuffle some stuff around, but we are getting the train back on the choo-choo tracks for next week, and it'll give us a good chance to maybe jump into some Rockay City tomorrow, right? All right, it'll give us a good chance to maybe check out some Lunark and Dredge also tomorrow.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
those are games.
Yes, those are games. I want to thank everybody for supporting us. You can go over to patreon.com/Nextlander. That's where we have a bunch of tiers there where you can find things like the Ramblecast, Never Been a Better Podcast, which was recorded with Abby Russell and Dan Reichert. That'll be going up next week. You can check that out. Still got to edit that. We got the Watchcast. We have finished Michelle Yeomonth with Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is currently up on the patron tier side of things. And we recorded this week a little gem called Super Mario Brothers Movie, not the newly released one. No.
They don't invite us to press screenings of things like that.
The live action one. You can check that out going up next week. There is one tier, though, over there on that Patreon, that patreon.com/Nextlander that gets their names read on this here show. It's a mysterious benefactor tier, and I'm very honored and excited to read those names to you today, starting with John Richardson, RRE, Vornak, Kelly F., James Smith, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, JM, Jerry Lee, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, Octothorpe Betwixt Jobs Crimes, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Razgriz 2, Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R, Randy Duax, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. And I want to say again to those mysterious benefactors, I see you and I see your names every single week, and I want to thank you for being there. A lot of you for a long time now, and I really do appreciate it, and we all do.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. And thanks to everyone, all of our supporters over on patreon.com/Nextlander. I thank all of you. Again, some of you very long-time supporters. We do appreciate it. Can't do it without you. Couldn't make it happen. Been there for a long time. Some of you even before Nextlander coming along for the entire ride. Some of you with Nextlander coming along for this entire ride. Thanks everybody for checking our stuff out on Twitch, on YouTube, and listening to this here podcast, recommending it to all your friends as the #1 podcast going on right now. I mean, it's tough to wear the crown, but that's our responsibility. We don't take lightly. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Alex. Again, this one going up a little bit later due to some scheduling tomfoolery, but we are getting things back. We're going to have to adjust a little bit more towards the end of the week here just to make things nice and tidy, but we'll get stuff going. And a reminder, next week will be our last full week until our break in the office. I actually won't be here Thursday, so that's not appropriately or totally accurate, but we'll have stuff going on next week. But we'll be off that next week for streaming. We should have podcasts and all the like going up that week in April. That week that the path tracing comes out. Mm-hmm. Gotta go get our computers all set up for path tracing.
I'm gonna have to build a new computer for that.
So you can go check out our podcast during that week as well. Thanks again, everybody, for supporting us. Bye, Alex. Bye, Brad. See you guys tomorrow, maybe, for some Rockay City. You know what I'm saying? All right. Thanks, everybody. See ya.